There's a quiet shift that happens the moment an Aquarius is born. It's not announced by thunder, nor marked by a star, but somewhere, deep in the unseen world, a line of ancestors exhales in relief. Because finally, the one who would carry the light has arrived. Your soul was never designed for comfort. It was designed for correction. You weren't sent here to blend in. You were sent to break what was bending your bloodline for generations. You are not the echo of those who came before. You are their evolution. Every scar in your lineage, every silence at your family table, every secret buried beneath smiles, they all found a voice in you. When you walk into a room, energy rearranges. When you choose peace over reaction, the past bows. When you dream beyond what your family believed possible, history shifts its spine. You are the quiet storm that rewrites what survival once meant. Not by force, but by awareness. Not by revenge, but by renewal. Aquarius, you carry an ancient ache, the kind that doesn't belong to just one lifetime. But within that ache, there's purpose. It's the whisper that says you were not born to repeat, you were born to rebuild. The heaviness you sometimes feel isn't weakness, it's inheritance. The loneliness you sense isn't abandonment, it's elevation. Because to carry divine purpose, you first have to rise above human pattern. So when you find yourself at odds with your family's ways, when you are labeled the different one, the distant one, the too emotional one, understand this. You were never meant to mirror them. You were meant to mend them. You are the quiet turning point between generations. The bridge between pain and promise. Between the cries of the past and the calm of the future. Write this in the comments. It ends with me. Because by the time you reach the end of this message, you will see. What once ran through your blood as burden will soon flow as blessing. Aquarius, when you came into this world, you carried more than your own story. You didn't just inherit your family's features, you inherited their unfinished emotions. The fears they never faced, the words they swallowed, the dreams they left half-built. All of it found a home in your heart. That's why, even as a child, something inside you felt heavier than others could see. You noticed things others ignored. You could feel tension in a room before anyone spoke. And though no one said it out loud, your soul already understood. Your purpose was deeper than fitting in. The tears your ancestors never cried became yours to cleanse. The dreams they abandoned became the fire that won't let you rest. The silence they lived in became your need for truth, your hunger for meaning. It's why you've always been drawn to things that awaken the spirit. Why surface-level living never satisfied you. You might not have had the words for it back then, but that sensitivity you carry isn't weakness, it's divine intelligence. It's how heaven encoded your mission. You were never meant to be hardened by life. You were meant to feel it fully, to understand pain so deeply that you could transform it into wisdom. In your family line, there were generations that survived, but few who truly healed. They built walls to endure the world, but you were sent to open doors, to bring light into rooms where love once hid. You are the bridge between what was broken and what can finally be restored. When you choose forgiveness, old grudges dissolve in your lineage. When you speak truth with compassion, the silence that once ruled your family begins to break. And when you decide to live with awareness instead of reaction, you become the living proof that healing is possible. You weren't born to repeat the old story. You were born to rewrite it. Not through anger or rebellion, but through quiet strength, clarity, and divine purpose. Your journey is not about carrying the weight, it's about transforming it. Because through you, Aquarius, what was once a burden is becoming a blessing. Aquarius, there are times when life quietly pulls you away from everything and everyone you know. You don't plan it, it just happens. One day you wake up and realize that people you once felt close to no longer understand your silence, your thoughts, or your heart. Even family, the ones who say they love you, can start to feel distant, as if you're walking a path they cannot see. But that separation isn't meant to hurt you. It's meant to prepare you. Because when you are chosen to uplift your bloodline, your journey cannot look like theirs. You are walking in directions your ancestors couldn't imagine. So the universe takes you away for a while, not as punishment, but as purification. You are being refined, Aquarius. Your spirit is being retuned to a higher frequency so you can lead from clarity, not chaos. If you remain surrounded by the same pain, the same patterns, and the same old energy that built your ancestors, you would repeat the same wounds you came here to heal. That's why God, in divine mercy, isolates you. He removes you from noise so you can hear truth. He closes doors so you can find your own keys. He allows distance, not to break bonds, but to show you which ones are real. There were nights when you felt unseen, when the silence pressed against your chest so heavily that you wondered if you'd done something wrong. You didn't. You were being hidden, not from love, but from distraction. Your solitude is sacred ground. It is the classroom where your soul learns the language of wisdom. In that quiet, you've learned empathy. You've learned to sense pain without words. You've learned that peace doesn't need applause to be powerful. In loneliness, you discovered who you truly are when no one is watching, and that truth has become your armor. Rejection taught you the value of discernment. Loneliness taught you how to stand even when no one stands with you. And silence taught you that your inner voice carries the sound of divine guidance. So Aquarius, never mistake your solitude for emptiness. It's not a void, it's a cocoon. And everything that felt like distance was actually direction, guiding you back to your purpose. Before you could heal the generations that came before you, you had to be pulled far enough away to see their pain for what it truly was. Not your identity, but your assignment. Your isolation is protection. It is where heaven prepares you to re-enter the world not as a wound bearer, but as a healer. Aquarius, when you stop and truly look at your life, you'll start to see patterns, reflections of those who came before you. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every lesson that keeps repeating itself carries traces of your lineage. You are not walking alone. Generations walk with you. Think about it. Maybe your grandmother knew betrayal, the kind that made her heart harden and her trust fade. Now you find yourself attracting people who test your loyalty, forcing you to learn what she never could. How to love without losing yourself. Maybe your father once gave up on his dreams because the world told him survival mattered more than purpose. And now you feel restless when you're not creating because your soul remembers what he left undone. Or perhaps your family carried generations of silence, unspoken truths buried beneath pride and fear. Now your voice shakes when you speak truth. But still, you speak. And in that trembling honesty, you're freeing everyone who once stayed quiet to keep the peace. These things you face, Aquarius, are not coincidences. They are mirrors, sacred reflections of unfinished healing. The pain that keeps returning isn't here to destroy you. It's here to remind you that the cycle can end with you. You came to finish what they couldn't. When you forgive someone who hurt you deeply, you're not only freeing yourself, you're healing centuries of bitterness that once lived in your family line. When you choose peace instead of chaos, you're teaching the energy in your blood how to rest for the first time in generations. And when you build something from love, whether it's art, a home, a dream, or a child raised with understanding, you are creating what your ancestors longed for but couldn't reach. Aquarius, you are the walking answer to their silent prayers. They might not have had your strength, your insight, or your freedom, but they dreamed of someone who would. They couldn't see the stars clearly through their struggles, but they followed the faint light they had, and that light led to you. So when you feel the weight of your past, remember, it's not just pain, it's purpose. The ancestors don't simply watch you, they rise through you. With every healed wound, every brave choice, every act of compassion, you give them peace they never knew. You are their living continuation, the voice that speaks their unfinished truths, the heart that redeems their history. You are not haunted by your lineage, you are healing it. Aquarius, there comes a moment in every chosen soul's journey when the weight becomes too much to carry. When the tears don't just fall, they burn. It's that point when your spirit whispers, "Why me?" Why the betrayals that cut so deeply? Why the losses that keep returning like waves? Why the inner battles that seem never ending? But every why carries an answer. Transformation demands confrontation. You are not just healing your life, you are cleansing generations that came before you. You are detoxing your entire bloodline from energies, fears, and patterns that survived for centuries. That's why your storms feel heavier. That's why your heartbreak feels deeper. Because you are clearing what others could not face. Every dark night you've endured wasn't punishment. It was purification. Every tear washed away what no longer belongs in your lineage. When those before you doubted love, you stayed open. When they bowed to fear, you walked by faith. When they gave up halfway through their calling, you kept standing, even when nobody saw your struggle. Aquarius, you are living proof that pain can become prophecy. What once tried to destroy your family line is now being transformed through your endurance. Every wound you've carried has been turning into wisdom. Every test you've passed in silence has rewritten the spiritual DNA of your bloodline. You may not have realized it, but the reason your spirit has been under so much pressure is because heaven has been shaping you for legacy. Your heart had to break to let the light in. Your plans had to collapse so that divine order could take their place. And your tears had to fall so that peace could finally grow in the soil of your strength. Sometimes, the greater your suffering, the deeper your assignment. Because only those who walk through fire can teach others how to survive it. You are not cursed, you are chosen. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. So when the world feels like it's falling apart around you, remember, after every breakdown comes divine alignment. And after alignment comes legacy. Aquarius, your pain has never been wasted. It was the price of becoming the healer your bloodline needed. And now, every scar you carry shines as evidence that even from ruin, renewal is possible. Aquarius, look closely at your life right now. Even if everything feels uncertain, there is quiet progress happening beneath the surface. You have started thinking differently. You respond with more calm than before. You love with more understanding. And you no longer allow the same patterns that once ruled your family to control you. That right there is transformation in motion. It might not look dramatic, but that's how divine change works. Softly, consistently, and deeply. Because the true healer of a bloodline doesn't heal by noise, they heal by energy. They don't just talk about peace, they become peace. They take what once caused pain and turn it into purpose. And that's what you're doing, even when you doubt yourself. You may not realize it yet, but every conscious choice you make, every time you rise above anger, choose honesty, or lead with love, sends a ripple through your entire lineage. When you forgive, you teach forgiveness by energy. When you chase a dream no one believed in, you teach courage by example. When you refuse to fight unnecessary battles, you teach dignity by vibration. And slowly, without you forcing it, your family begins to shift. Even the ones who misunderstand you start to sense something different when you walk into the room. Because your light rewrites the atmosphere. Your calm disarms chaos. Your consistency builds what no one before you could maintain. A spiritual foundation of strength and peace. You are not the outcast. You are the turning point. You are the first dawn after centuries of night. The one your ancestors longed for. The one who would stand tall and say, "The pain stops here." Aquarius, you've become the blessing your bloodline prayed for. And though they may not have the words to thank you, their souls know. Because of you, their story has a brighter ending. Aquarius, when the storm finally settles, you begin to understand that peace was the prize all along. It isn't a loud reward. It isn't wrapped in applause or attention. It's quiet. So quiet that at first, you might mistake it for nothing at all. But then one morning, you wake up and realize something profound has changed. You're no longer fighting for space in places that once drained you. You're no longer explaining your heart to people who only listen to respond. You're no longer begging the past to see your worth. That stillness you feel, that calm that stretches through your bones, that is sacred peace. It's the kind of peace that generations before you, never knew how to hold. They fought for survival. You were chosen to experience serenity. They lived in reaction. You live in awareness. Your soul has walked through fire, Aquarius, and now it glows quietly. You face the weight of ancestral pain, betrayal, loss, misunderstanding, and yet you refuse to let bitterness make a home in your heart. Now heaven looks at you and says, this one can be trusted. Trusted with blessings. Trusted with wisdom. Trusted with power. Because you didn't just endure, you evolved. And for that, the universe begins to align in your favor. Suddenly, the right opportunities start to find you, almost effortlessly. People arrive who understand you without explanation. Doors open that no man could have forced shut. Even your mistakes begin to work for you, shaping your purpose instead of stealing your peace. Aquarius, you're entering a chapter where life starts to reflect the work you've done in silence. Every sleepless night, every prayer whispered into the dark, every time you chose peace instead of revenge, it's all returning to you now in the form of divine stability. Your blessings won't be rushed. They'll be precise. They'll come in perfect timing, in ways that match your spirit's maturity. Because the gifts that once would have overwhelmed you will now sustain you. You've learned the weight of wisdom. You understand that abundance without balance isn't a blessing, it's a burden. So heaven doesn't just give you things, it gives you discernment. Discernment to know what to build, what to bless, and what to release. You will begin to notice the flow of grace in everything you touch. Projects that once failed will now flourish. Doors that once resisted you will now open with ease. Even relationships that once caused you pain will start to transform or dissolve without drama. Because your vibration has changed, and the world has no choice but to respond. You'll also feel something else, something subtle yet powerful. A sense of completion, a knowing that you are no longer living from your wounds, but from your wisdom. That realization alone is liberation, and as your life blossoms, the unseen world moves with you. Your ancestors, those who carried hope in silence, they rise through you. Every good thing that now enters your life is shared with them in spirit. Because your healing doesn't just free you, it redeems them. When you laugh, they find rest. When you build with integrity, they finally exhale. When you live in joy, they find the peace they were denied. Aquarius, this is your divine reward. The blessings that once skipped your family line are being redirected to you. Not because you're more deserving, but because you're more aware. You've mastered the spiritual laws of balance. Give and receive, release and rebuild, surrender and rise. You are not being rewarded for being perfect, you're being rewarded for being faithful. And now, as your hands receive what generations couldn't hold, remember, your blessings are not just for you. They are for every ancestor who carried a dream they couldn't complete. They are for every child in your lineage who will walk freer because you chose to heal. As you rise, your lineage rises too. Not in comparison, not in competition, but in harmony. Because divine elevation doesn't exclude, it completes. You are the bridge between their prayers and their peace. The vessel through which heaven turns history into harmony. You've done the work in silence, and now creation honors you in public. This is why the air feels lighter around you. Why you no longer panic when change comes, because your soul trusts the process now. Everything you went through, Aquarius, has been leading to this. A life where blessings flow naturally, where your calm becomes your currency, and where your peace is no longer borrowed, but owned. This is the divine reward of the uplifter. To live not in survival, but in sacred flow. To walk through this world knowing you've turned pain into peace, chaos into clarity, and struggle into strength. You are not at the end of your journey. You are standing at the threshold of a legacy that will echo through time. Because of you, your bloodline will know rest. Because of you, love will feel safe again. Because of you, generations will rise in grace instead of grief. And as heaven looks upon your story, it smiles, for the one sent to uplift the bloodline has finally completed the circle. Aquarius, as this message settles in your heart, remember, you were never born to carry your family's pain forever. You were born to rewrite it. You are not your family's wounds, you are their redemption song. You are the soft echo of everything they hoped for but couldn't become. You are not tied to their endings, you are the beginning of something divine. Every tear you've ever shed was never wasted. Each one watered the ground where your descendants will one day walk freely. Because of your courage to heal, they will not have to start from pain, they will start from peace. And one day, they will speak your name not with sorrow, but with gratitude, saying, "Because of them, we were set free." So as you move forward, keep your heart light and your vision clear. Let your spirit remain strong, no matter who misunderstands your purpose. You are never a mistake, you are a divine correction sent to restore balance to your lineage. You are the living proof that light can flow even through broken roots. Comment once more below, "I am the healer of my bloodline." And if this message has spoken to your soul, subscribe, not just for another video, but to stay connected to the voice that reminds you who you truly are. You are Aquarius, the river that cleanses, the storm that transforms, and the sacred light that uplifts every name written in your blood.